Michelle Gulyas is the reigning Olympic champion after a stunning, glorious, record-breaking win in Paris last summer, one that won't be forgotten in a long time and will never be forgotten in Hungary, where she is already a national hero. But Michelle is also a criminal detective and maybe starting a new career as a runway model as well. I'm not sure. Last month, she roared back to action with a brilliant victory at UIPM World Cup Budapest in front of your home fans. Michelle, you are the first ever guest of the Pentathlon podcast, and we are so delighted, honored even to have you. How are you?
I'm very busy, but I enjoy being here, and I'm happy that I can be the first in something.
Well, you're used to being first. This is why we thought you'd be used to it. It'd be good. But because this is episode 1 and you are guest number 1, you are first. Before we get into the whirlwind of life and this life-changing year for you in the last year, there are going to be some newcomers to Modern Pentathlon tuning in on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, wherever they'll come to us. And I just wonder how you would describe, or even how you do describe, Modern Pentathlon, the craziness that is 5 sports in one, to people. When people ask you what you do, how do you describe Modern Pentathlon?
When I tell what I'm doing, the first word that they say is what you said, crazy. That I'm crazy. How can I do so many things at the same time? But I think this colorful sport is what gives whole life to me, because I couldn't just choose only one. When I was little and I was a little bit struggling with the sports, and some sports weren't my strongest disciplines from the 5, and I always wondered, okay, I should only choose one. It would be so much easier. But I think this sport and the preparation and the competitions gives me so much joy and excitement that I think other sports cannot fulfill in my life. So I think also the people who I meet internationally and at home, I think it's a very, very nice community here at Modern Pentathlon.
Yeah, it's like the most global sport sometimes. And yet, as hectic as it is, and all of the years, weeks, months, hours of training that you've done across all of these sports, is there any of that could have prepared you for what life has been like since Paris? My first question for you is, how are you? Like, how are you? Have you taken a moment to exhale and breathe and sit back into that nice couch in the last 10 months?
I don't think that would be me. I like doing so many things at the same time. This is why I love Modern Pentathlon so much. But now, despite trainings, I have many things to do, many award ceremonies, many podcasts, many interviews. Many kids want to meet me and hear about my journey. And it's tough to manage the time, because, Modern Pentathlon takes a lot of time. We have many sports, many trainings one day, and still trying to fit in everything else. What comes with being an Olympic champion, it's hard. But I think I have a good help. My father is helping with managing my life, and he always reminds me on what time, the timetable for the whole day, the whole week. My coaches are also helping me with trying to manage the trainings with the extra programs. So I think I have a good team with me.
That's what I was wondering. Like, what does your calendar app look like on your phone? Is it just like constantly filled with appointments, or are you just leaving that to your dad now?
I think it's tough, because it's not only my phone. I get an Excel and a Word document from my coach about trainings. I have an Excel document from my father for the week, for the month, for the whole year that we already have appointments for. And then I have my own appointments that, for example, meeting friends or going to the cosmetics or getting my nails up, because I'm still a girl and still have to look good for these appointments. So I think it's really funny too that I try to look all the programs together. So yeah.
As hard as it is to juggle life as Michelle Gulyas, it's maybe harder to be your friend and try and get you for a cup of coffee these days. Is that like?
I try to make time for my true friends who are there always in my tough times, but they are also trying to understand that I have more things to do than I had before. And but they are very, very nice, because they always ask how I have time, and then they always try to manage their times that they can meet me. So it's been...
I think there's a lot to obviously get into in 9-10 months of craziness, like you say, but it does make sense for us to go back to the Palace of Versailles. Like, what an amazing place to go and make history, and to have that be like the special place for the rest of your life. It's amazing. But have you gone back there since? Like, in your mind, have you kind of taken those moments to be like, wow, what really happened there? Like, how did this all happen for me?
Oh, I love this video. I think I rewatched my competition like more than a million times. I think there was a very good commentatorship under the Hungarian national television with this video.
Yeah.
And I think my family knows the whole video word by word, and my closest friends, because they rewatched it a million times every day. And I think for many, many months, every time I watched this video, and even now, I get little not sad, but so happy that I get too emotional to look at the video. So, but every time I go and have a speech about the competition, or I meet people, new people, they always tell me what they were doing when I was doing the competition, and they were watching me compete, and how much it gave to them seeing me compete, and how I felt during competing, and how they saw my expressions during my competition. So, and many in Hungary know my tough times before the Olympics. So I think with that, being and becoming an Olympic champion together is like a real thing in Hungary, that from the really, really rock bottom, I could make it to the really top. And it gives, I think, a lot of strength to them too, that you have to really believe in yourself, you have to dream, and you can do it if you have a good team behind you.
Yeah, it's the thing. It's so fascinating, and one of the most compelling things about your journey. And we spoke like last March when you were kind of coming back too after a really tough year. But what struck me kind of post Paris, immediately post Paris, one of your first social media posts afterwards, alongside a photo of you crossing the line, it was just the most lovely caption, if you don't mind me saying it. It all started with Mini Me's dream. And then one of the first comments underneath, I think maybe like after Elena Michele, was your sister Claudia, and she's like, yeah, I remember you kind of all dreaming and talking about it as a kid. So I guess, like, maybe what were those dreams? What did Mini Me Michelle actually dream of? Was it that moment crossing the line, or was it the medal in your hand? And what does it feel like to then actually do it?
I don't think it was like when I started modern pentathlon when I was 11, and I don't think my dream was then that I want to become an Olympic champion. I think Mini Me's dream was the journey that I overcame, and that moment that I felt, and I felt, this fulfilled. And I don't think I ever felt that feeling, and maybe I never will in my life, how I crossed that Olympic line. Finish line in the first place, and the closest people who helped me through the worst and the best and all the time were there. All my coaches were there, my closest friends, my family, and they all shared that moment with me in live. And I think that was very, very special. So I think this emotional cathartic moment is what I dreamed of, like giving back the lot of help and love and everything that this little community who helped me gave me through my journey, and I could just give a little piece back to them and share this moment with them. So, but I think my top tier moment was on the podium. I think that moment, crying and hearing the national anthem because of me, because of my results, is I think I will never feel again that way. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
But I think it's like the top tier moment that it will be very difficult to overdo.
It's interesting because we just showed a video, and for those who are kind of listening on a podcast, I'd encourage you to go and look at the video on Michelle's Instagram. But we could play it again. But where the emotions kind of seem to click in for you, or really first, is maybe even just leaving the shooting range. You just raise your arms a bit, and it seemed like you raised your hand to your eyes. Like, I guess, what is for mere mortals like myself and the rest of us listening, what is that release like, that moment where you're like, I know I haven't crossed the line yet, but I've done it. I've won here. Like, you just kind of, it just seemed like a weight just fell off,
Yes, I think it was the many, many months of me struggling, and many people questioned why I'm even there at the Olympics, or does it worth giving the me the time that I can be there at the Olympics. And the people who believed in me and being there at that moment and realizing that I have only 600 meters left and I can do it. And I think that was the first moment. No, actually, I think it was the last shooting, the first shooting when I went into the shooting range. That was the first moment that I thought about, like, okay, there's only one shooting left. If I do it well, then I can be first. And I started shooting, mistake. I thought, oh no, I have to get back to focus because I cannot finish if I don't finish my shooting, then I cannot go out and maybe I will be third, fourth, who knows, whatever. So I had to get back to my focus. And then when I finished the shooting, I felt, I think I was in a flow moment. So I didn't really realize what I was like doing, but I felt like that even if my arms fall down or my leg breaks, I will come in first because I felt like even Usain Bolt would run slower than me because I can sprint faster because I'm full with energy. I did everything I could, and I will never let this medal out of my hands. So I think this putting up my hands and the last when I started running for the last 600 meters, I think this was it.
It's an amazing thing because there's so many things that go into the making of a champion. It can kind of almost become a cliche, but surely over the kind of 12 months before the Olympics, as important as anything physical was, your mental strength is what got you to that moment, I'm sure. Like, how big a part does that play in modern pentathlon, especially where, like you say, you can be feeling very good and miss your first two shots and all of a sudden something can click and it's like, oh no. And we've seen great athletes kind of fall apart.
I think there's huge competition in modern pentathlon. I think before the laser run race, there are like six, 7, or maybe even 8 people who can make it to the podium. So you never really know who will make it first, second, and third. And this is what makes it really exciting, I think, because every shooting matters, all the running rounds matter. But I think, especially in shooting, when there are 15,000 people cheering for us around, and it's not this silence that you can focus very easily, I think mental readiness is the most important part. And I think for me, I started going to a sports psychologist when I was 15, since 2015. And I think that a lot of work that we did during the years, this what helped me to be so good, I think, on the Olympics. And I could just close out and focus on what I was doing. Not like, oh, people are cheering, it's so good. I could enjoy the moment when I allowed myself to enjoy the moment, but when I had to like close out everything and focus on myself, then I could do that. So I'm happy to say this.
And what were some of the quieter moments maybe after Paris? Did you hang on a little bit? Did you and the family, because I know your family had driven over, were planning to drive originally, but yes. I knew that they were all going to be there, your brother, your sister, and your mom and dad. Did you have a bit of time to kind of decompress first, or was it straight to the homecoming?
Actually, I didn't even meet them for like 2 days maybe after the Olympics, because at the Olympic venue, I couldn't meet them. So many people were there. Everybody wanted me. And I was like, oh, where's my family? Yeah. So after I crossed the line, I could hug them. But after that, I didn't see them for a few days. So that was a little bit tough. Yeah. But I think I had time to celebrate with every part of my life. So with my coaches, with my teammates, with my closest friends from school and from university, and my family. So I had my special moments with everybody for sure.
That's the thing, like, mini me can dream of kind of the journey, and yet does anything quite prepare you for the impact being a gold medalist has when you come back home to Hungary? And like you say, straight away you're meeting people that you have inspired, and this is a moment that they will remember where they were forever watching you. I guess, like, how quick an adjustment was it, or how quick a realization was it where you were like, oh, wow, this is different to anything I've done in my career?
I think I'm still coming to realization now, because I get so much love from people, even these days. So yesterday I was in a ice hockey game, and people came to me, oh, you are Michelle Gulyas. Can we do a picture? I love you competing. I love how you felt during the competition. You gave me so much strength. And I was like, Yeah, sure. And I still get so surprised that they recognize me and
Yeah.
they love me, and it feels so good and it feels so warm that like modern pentathlon is a big sport in Hungary, but there are always bigger sports, for example,
Mhm.
swimming and athletics, that get much more attention than modern pentathlon because there are many, many rules. It's sometimes more difficult to understand than, for example, a football game.
Yeah.
So making so much fame for the sport makes me very happy, and many youngsters started modern pentathlon because of my Olympic journey and the
Mhm.
Black Lucy's Olympic journey. So I'm happy about it.
I have an interesting anecdote for you. One of the side jobs that I do is I teach at a university in Ireland, teach a little bit of sports journalism, and the undergrad, so second year class this year, had a lot of overseas students, international students in the class, maybe half the class, and so three of the students were Hungarian, and so I'm trying to connect with the students on the opening day orientation, etc. And I go around and I'm kind of, there was a Canadian and I was like, oh, I've spent time in Canada, etc., or whatever. And then the three Hungarians are all sitting together. And I said, oh, do you guys know, do you guys watch Modern Pentathlon? And they were like, I'm not, maybe, yes, not too sure sometimes. And I was like, but do you know who Michelle Gulyas is? And they were like, wow, yes, everything. They were like, their eyes lit up. They knew you. They were like, knew your Instagram. They knew what you had done. And it's kind of, that kind of emphasizes the point that you make where modern pentathlon is an important sport in Hungary, but there are bigger sports. And yet going and winning a gold medal at Olympic Games, it almost doesn't matter the size of the sport. That's just such a huge thing, isn't it?
And the other thing I love that I could still keep myself. I mean, I'm still being me,
Right.
and people like
Yeah.
me for being me. And this
Yeah.
is what makes it, I think, so special. That then I never lie about anything. I told my difficult parts of modern pentathlon, the difficult parts of my preparation, the struggle meant after, and trying to do the obstacle race. And then now they saw me competing in Hungary and doing well. So I think this is what makes it very special, that I didn't have to change my personality, that people
Mhm.
like me, but they like me because I am me, and this is what
Yeah.
I think makes me so emotional, that they like me for being me.
But like, let's take a quick rundown of just even some of the things of the last like few months. So, Sportswoman of the Year, Elle magazine cover shoots, walking the runway at the Budapest Fashion Week, Woman of the Year, named Woman of the Year by Glamour magazine, new partnerships with BMW and Puma and Garmin and all these. Uh, what were the kind of most pinch me moments where you're like, is this really happening?
I think every new sponsorships
Mm.
make me feel this way,
Mm.
because I think it's difficult to get a sponsorship
Mm.
as a female athlete in modern pentathlon, and for them recognizing me and my sport, the value of the sport, makes me very happy.
Mm.
And actually, my life is so blessed since then, because I get very good opportunities. For example, I get an amazing car, and
Yeah.
that I love. And every time I
Yeah.
sit in, I'm like, oh my God, my car is just so beautiful. And I sometimes don't even recognize my own car. I'm like, oh, who's this beautiful car? Oh my God, it's mine. So I actually really have very good experiences. Photo shoots I always enjoy,
Mm.
but I think since the Olympics I have like more personalities, like Michelle on the photo shoots,
Okay.
1, Michelle the sports person, 2,
Yeah.
Michelle on the award ceremonies, 3, and then this is how it can go easily. I think that I enjoy every part, but I'm still modern pentathlon is the first in my life.
It's so funny, Michelle, because I literally kind of, when I was going back over our chat last year before the Olympics, and then kind of looking at some of all of the exciting things you've done in the last year, I had it written down a question, which was, do you think becoming an Olympic champion releases the pressure and allows you to kind of explore different sides of yourself a bit, or maybe explore them publicly, like to kind of, like you say, these different versions of Michelle, and to kind of enjoy that a bit more?
I'm sure that this gives me the opportunity to do this, but I
Yeah.
think in sports I still feel the pressure. Of course, I made it to the top, but because I'm on the top, or I was on the top, this what gives me more pressure to continue and show people that when you make it to the top, you have to keep pushing to be there, because everybody wants to be on the top and everybody wants to beat you, and you have to put in even more work that you can keep your pace and space. And I think many people want me to be there on the top and stay on the top, and I think that is even more difficult when everybody is chasing you, when you are the one who is chasing.
I don't want to move away from the fashion side without asking this question. What's more stressful, going up on the piste in the Olympic final to do fencing, or going up on the catwalk during Fashion Week in Budapest?
Actually, I think it was almost the same feeling, because before going on a catwalk, I never went on a catwalk. My heels were very, very high.
Okay.
Many people were sitting and they were very close. So I knew that if I misstep or I step somewhere else, then everybody sees that I did a mistake, and I was opening the fashion show. So I knew that was a big stress. So yeah, I think I was like shaking, and even during walking, I think I was shaking. So it didn't. Yes, I don't think it was visible, but this is how I felt from inside. Yeah. So I think this was, a bigger stress, because on the Olympics, I had to do what I love doing, and I do almost every day. I go fencing, I do the trainings, I had plenty of competitions. It was the same competition, just with even more spectators. So I think maybe that is why I was less stressed on the Olympics.
Right. maybe the fencing footwork is what helped you kind of stay upright on the thing.
Yeah, actually, I think
I'm interested because it's interesting. Athletes spend so much of their lives in tracksuits and swimsuits and your fencing suit or whatever. You don't really often get a chance to express yourself in kind of fashion and style and even photography, like you said, with photo shoots. Where does that little bit of you come from? Is it like your mom and your sister too? Or you kind of like, have you always kind of like liked the chance to kind of indulge your style, but maybe, I suppose.
I think if you would ask my mom, she would say that I was a very girly girl when I was a kid. So I loved dressing up. I loved like take on clothes and new things, and taking on my mom's shoes and my grandma's clothes. So I think I was a girly girl. And when I started doing modern pentathlon, that is when another part of me came out, the sportier version that is a little bit less female-ish. But I don't think that I am less female because I don't wear tracksuits all the time, because I think that can also be worn well. So you can also make a style in track suits, and this is why I like going to competitions and to trainings, because everybody has her own style, even in tracksuits, and they can look very, very good.
Yeah, for sure. So like today, you are still all of these things. You are a national hero, and you are kind of, style and Instagram icon. You're also a detective, and you're still a defending Olympic champion who, from what I understand, very much wants to defend that gold medal in Los Angeles. So I guess we've already asked about how do you juggle all of this, but like in terms of your schedule, but where is your kind of brain even kind of in terms of devoting time and motivation towards all these things? That must be tricky too.
I think my motivation is like 100%. Maybe even better than before the Olympics, because I made it to the top. I finished a chapter closed because horse riding is now not in modern pentathlon, and the obstacle race came in. And I think this is what gave me more devotion to continue modern pentathlon and get over this obstacle and try to get on with the youngsters, because they are very strong. They've been doing this obstacle race almost for 1.5 years, so they are ahead of us, and trying to catch them and reach them is, I think, a great experience. And them also competing in the adult and the senior competitions is also very nice, because in many of them I see myself when I was a junior competitor, and I was also competing on senior competition. So I think it's nice to see the next generation like grow up and grow into the new.
But what about the challenge specifically then of obstacle, Michelle? How did you adapt to it? For those who are maybe newer to modern pentathlon, like you said, this was the changing of an era at the Paris Olympic Games. Horse riding came to an end, and it was replaced by obstacle course racing, which is the new fifth discipline. There's been a lot of excitement and some exciting action in the first few events on the senior elite level this year. But for you, when did you first get literally to grips with it, and how have you adapted to it?
The first time I've been hanging on an
Mhm.
obstacle, I think was in November, end of November.
Wow.
So I had a 2 months break after the
Mhm.
Olympics, full rest and no trainings,
Mhm.
no running and
Yeah.
no sports at all. And when I restarted, then I had to rebuild my muscles and everything
Mhm.
get back in shape. And after that, we had to do prevention not to get injured because it's a totally new sport. It has pressure on the shoulders and muscles
Mhm.
and joints and everything. So we had needed a special preparation for a month almost.
Mhm.
And after that, we started the obstacle race, but we didn't really have the competition track yet. So
Right.
we had few obstacles that we could learn how to hold one obstacle. But I think the real first obstacle, I think, was in Cairo, maybe, because that
Right.
is when I really went my first competition track.
Mhm.
Because we had obstacles, but it wasn't really a full course at home.
Right.
And after Cairo, I think when we came home, that is when we started like really training on a course.
Mhm. Like you mentioned it, and I'm not going to let you get away with kind of presenting yourself as some like veteran or old timer. You're still 25. Right? So we're gonna nip that in the bud. But there is a lot of young talent out there. But let's focus on the young talent at home first, because like you say, well, for a start, Hungary is brilliant at producing great young pentathletes, right? And has been for a while. And now you have inspired a next generation, or people, or young athletes who maybe mightn't have been sure if they would continue with the sport. They see this brilliant moment. I guess the pressure to maintain your standard at home first, but then also the little bit of pride that kind of you have brought back to Hungary, the great history that Hungary has in pentathlon, and bringing them back to the top of a podium. I guess kind of how does that all wrap up? Because you are the figurehead of Hungarian modern pentathlon, and yet you're kind of there to be shot at a little bit. You're there to be targeted.
I'm ready. I'm ready to be shot at.
Yeah.
But I think I'm happy that many people started modern pentathlon and many young athletes started modern pentathlon. But our federation also has a special crew whose work is to get this young people from school
Mhm.
and start swimming and running, the basics of modern pentathlon. And then later on, they can start fencing and shooting.
Mhm.
We had many events where they could start and try laser run, and then they could shoot from 5 meters or two
Sure.
meters and try how is it to be at a competition. And they could also try obstacle race, but of course much easier obstacles, so it
Right.
wasn't our competition track. And I saw how much enjoyment they had during this tournament, so that we
Mhm.
had for the kids, and they could meet the big modern pentathletes. For example, Gábor Balogh, who is also our president now. He
Mhm.
was also an Olympic medalist long time ago,
Yeah.
but now his I think main aim is to get more athletes
Right.
in Hungary.
That's great. It's really cool to see. So then also on the next generation, we can't kind of not talk about Farida Khalil, because those first two events at senior level for her went the same way that she dominated in youth levels. You guys went toe to toe in Cairo, and then you come back to Budapest and you roar back, and it's kind of this 1-2. And it's very easy for me, the sports journalist in me goes, this is going to be a great rivalry. I don't think we're there yet, but what have you seen from her? And I guess, yeah, again, how crazy is it at 25 to be looking over your shoulder at someone 9 years younger than you, and or even kind of some of the other teenagers that are coming up?
Yeah, she's amazing. But the first time I met her was in Cairo, like
Okay.
personally, and I saw her winning her first competition, senior
Mhm.
competition. And I was thinking about she's only 14 years old,
Mhm.
and all her disciplines are amazing. And I
Right.
was thinking about like, oh my God, where was I when I was 14? And I was just so far away from her. So I'm sure she has many work in it, and
Uh-huh.
but I think maybe it's even easier for her. Like of course, it's very difficult to do modern pentathlon, but her body is still young. She can regenerate much faster than my old body, what is 25 years old. But she's actually amazing. Her running is very good. Her shooting is very good. I think what she will need is more competitions, because I think competing in a senior competitions is much, much different. And this is like a big step from juniors and youth competitions, because the more experience you have, the better you will compete, because you can compete more cleverly. You can regain your strength and not push so much, for example, in the semifinals, because that is not important that you run in first at your group, but that you have to be in the top 9, and then you have more energy for the finals. So I think these are the little parts that she can still learn from us.
Veterans. It's interesting though, isn't it? Because the start of a new Olympic cycle, it's kind of, we know you love Formula One, Ferrari, but maybe talk about how Ferrari are doing if we have time. But it is that kind of formation-y kind of like, well, who's going where here, like, and some athletes are still kind of getting back almost into kind of the swing of things. We're kind of seeing more athletes come with each passing event, each passing World Cup. But then with all that in mind, not just the fact that it was in Budapest, how satisfying was it, that victory at UIPM World Cup Budapest in April?
I love competing at home because, as I previously said, modern pentathlon is a big sport in Hungary. Many people know about it. And since the Olympics, Blanca and my journey, even more people wanted to see us competing. And I think it's like a new record for the Hungarian female athletes, because there were 5 female athletes in the finals. So there were really, really many girls to cheer for. And it was very special, because I think our federation did a very good job to make a real show of the competition. So I think for the spectators, modern pentathlon was never so exciting. It's easy to follow. The disciplines are coming very fast after each other. They can just sit down, and then in 90 minutes they see everything, they see who will be the first at the end. So, and I think it's very exciting that they took back a little bit from the fencing points, and this is why there are more athletes in less seconds, and their final race is much more exciting because of it.
And that makes things, like you said, like experience and big day experience all the more key, right? Like that's where being a veteran at 25 actually does work in your favor.
Yes, and I think that there was a DJ also in the finals. There were very good lights around the obstacle race course. So I think it was very special to make modern pentathlon sellable. I mean, like people will love this obstacle race, and they won't think about like, oh, okay, horse riding is out and the sport is dead, because I think this is the reborn modern pentathlon that they can still love and still enjoy, because it's very challenging. But for the spectators, I think it can be an amazing sport.
It's true, and it's kind of on the road to LA. That is the kind of excitement that we're feeling. So look, I really appreciate your time, Michelle. I just do wonder, I guess maybe nuts and bolts, what does the rest of the season look like for you on and off the course?
My next competition I would want is the World Cup final in Alexandria. After that, I will go to the European Championships and the World Championships. So I have 3 competitions left.
Okay. And for you, I think we've spoken in the past about this, about kind of, do you set goals, etc. I know the competitor in you wants to win every time you turn up, but with it being early in an Olympic cycle, what are you looking for most for you, the pentathlete, for the rest of the season?
I would say that I had big improvements in my running, so I want to keep that going, because I had a lot of work in it, and it's nice to see that it's worth doing so much work in it. Another thing is still obstacle race, because the youngsters are very, very fast in it, and I also have to get to the technique that they are using. So I think I need more experience on competitions of this obstacle race to get better. So until the Olympics, more and more competitions to get better at this obstacle race. And then I think on every competition I will see like which discipline needs a little improvement, and that is what I will focus on.
For sure. And what are you most looking forward to away from pentathlon? Have you got more Is the diary still packed with things in the next few weeks and months?
I think my most exciting thing will be my vacation in September.
Have you got a short list of places? I know you love to travel and you've been to some amazing places.
Yeah, my biggest goal is to go to Madeira. That is my number one spot now for September. So that will be my main goal.
Where did you get away after the Olympics? Did you go anywhere new or different, or were you mostly spending time in Hungary? Or
I was in Greece and in Italy for a little time, but I didn't have so much time, sadly, because I had many obligations and appointments that I had to get to. So it wasn't really the vacation that I hoped for, but I think during the years I will get it back.
Okay, so when we see like 2 weeks of Madeira in the Excel sheet, we know we're like, this is great. This is where
we made it.
Michelle, thank you so much for your time. I'm so delighted that you were here as the first guest on the Pentathlon podcast. I'm hopeful and I'm sure we'll have you back plenty. Best of luck with everything in the rest of the season. Always just such a joy to chat.
Thank you very much, and thank you for inviting me.